Stockholm Syndrome got its name in 1973 when 4 hostages were taken during a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden. The hostages defended their captors after being released and would not agree to testify in court against them. When the police showed up to rescue them, they were shocked that the hostages took offense by the police trying to separate them from their captors. Stockholm Syndrome is almost a psychological defense mechanism for the hostage as a way of protecting themselves. The hostage starts to think about all the ways the captor could harm them. If the captor gives the hostage any food, water, clothes, etc., they start to appreciate the captor and feel a strong connection between themselves and the captor. Once the hostage has those powerful feelings toward their captor, they are in denial that this is the person that put them in that situation, and in their mind they believe their captor is the person who is going to let them live as a survival strategy. Stockholm Syndrome is somewhat beneficial because it gives the hostage hope, and it allows them to keep their spirits up. But at the same time, it could deal tons of mental damage toward the hostage in the future that can be cured through spending time with old family, friends, and doctors from their life before being captured. This defense mechanism is really controversial to whether or not Stockholm Syndrome is beneficial during these tough times for the hostage.
There has been many instances when Stockholm Syndrome was found in people that have been abducted. For example, Patty Hearst was taken hostage by members of the Symbionese Liberation Army, or SLA, whose goal was to take a lot of money from Patty's wealthy father. 2 months after she was captured, Patty recorded an audio tape that would be heard around the world that she would be joining the SLA. She began actively participating in SLA-led criminal activity in California, which included robbery and extortion. The group took an estimated $2 million from her father during her months in captivity. Finally, after about 19 months with the SLA, she was captured by the FBI. She was convicted of bank robbery and sentenced to 35 years in prison. However, she would only face 2 years after President Jimmy Carter commuted her prison term. He believed that she was not directly responsible for her actions because of the psychological pressure she was under.
We're learning more about what happened to J.C. Dugard in the days and months after her kidnapping 18 years ago. And it is as troubling as you'd expect. CBS News correspondent Ben Tracy has the latest from Los Angeles.
The last time she was seen, it was 1991. 11-year-old J.C. Dugard was at the bus stop near her house in South Lake Tahoe when she was dragged into a car, allegedly by Philip and Nancy Garrido.
Once she was in the car, what happened was they pushed her down on the floorboards, threatened her, and then took her straight away to Antioch, California.
Former San Francisco prosecutor Michael Cardoza says police sources tell him it was years before J.C. was allowed in public.
They put her in the backyard in a tent or one of the outbuildings back there. They left her in that backyard for 3.5 years before they let her get out into public.
But in 1993, just 2 years into the ordeal, Philip Garrido spent 1 month in jail on a parole violation. During that time, it's believed that his wife Nancy was in charge of J.C. And when Philip got out of jail, it's believed that's when he fathered the first of J.C.'s 2 daughters. Ed Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
We're joined now by Dr. Phil McGraw, the best-selling author and host of The Dr. Phil Show, which, by the way, launches its 8th season next Monday. Good morning and congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you.
I want to talk about your new season, but first let me ask you about this story, which I know you dedicated an hour to last week. I watched it. You were shaking your head during the whole piece.
Well, it's just so hard to wrap your mind around something like that. And one of the most frustrating things for me is people that, I guess because they can't wrap their minds around it, are asking, how could she be controlled like that? Look, when you're 11 years old and you are abducted by a power figure, and the number one tool of an abuser is isolation. And as we just heard, it seems that this girl was isolated forever before she ever got any ability to move around. And when you're 11 years old, you're so vulnerable. I don't ask myself how that could happen. I ask myself how anything else could happen. I mean, and it's going to be a very tough road back for her, and even a tough road for those two girls, because they don't have any anchor in the real world. She at least had 4,000 days with her parents, and now, you know, like 9,000 days with this guy. It's just going to be so difficult for them to find their way back, but it can happen.
How do you explain to those girls, do you explain to them that their father is actually a kidnapper who raped their mother?
And see, everybody knows what's gone on, that this guy has allegedly done all of these things, but from their perspective, this is the only father they've known. What we don't know yet is what he did with them, because we know what he's alleged to have done. Toxic grieving the loss of this person and missing him, but then learning what is very, very slow going. Molest these girls and what they've known. What we don't know yet is what he did with them, because we know what he's alleged to have done with JC. Did he also molest these girls? And what kind of connection has he, toxic connection has he formed with them? All of this is going to have to be unraveled, and it's going to be very, very slow going. There's going to be a mix of emotions where they're actually grieving the loss of this person and missing him, but then learning what has happened, and it's going to be such conflict that they can really fall through the cracks if great care is not taken.
Such an important topic, and I know you'll be addressing a lot of important topics in your 8th season, which is kicking off with something different, Dr. Phil.
It is. For the first time ever, unprecedented, we're going live. And when you go live with my,